Hello, and I'd like to welcome you all once again here to the old schoolhouse in the hamlet of Butterstone in Perthshire in Scotland for another one of our wee Saturday half-hour shows. And I'd like to welcome to the stage the wonderful Tatty Faces who will be accompanying me tonight. And it's been wonderful weather here actually in the last few days in Butterstone. And those of you who watch regularly will also notice that I've had a haircut. And I have a friend, my dear friend Rebecca. I'm like a sheep. I get a haircut once a year, and she comes up, and I describe her as my stylist, and she comes up and cuts my. So there's also a funny thing about my 7-year-old grandson. He came up to me the last weekend and he was saying, "Grandad," he says, "you're going to have to do something about your eyebrows." He says, "They're huge." So you might have noticed that I have had my eyebrows trimmed as well. So Carol will be happy with that. I'm going to do this wee song to start off with, and I've been trying not to do this wee song for the last year or a year and a half, and we get requests and we put them in Duncan's hat and we pull them out, and every time this song would come out I'd say, "Oh no, I'm going to do that," but I have so many requests for it that I finally kind of decided to do it. And it's an old song of mine. I wrote it when I was about 19, 20. And I was never completely happy with the words, and so I think that's probably why I try not to sing it. But the people seem to like it. I've got lots of requests for it, and so I'm going to do it now. And it's a wee song about a mountain that's above Butterstone here, which is called Benacali. And it's where I grew up here, and we go picnics with my grandfather up the mountain and my family. And then when I was in my early teens, I played all around the mountain. And I think I must have written it when I was away, when I joined the Tannahill Weavers and ended up in Europe. And I must have been coming back. Because one of the things about when you're driving up to this part of the country, the first thing you see is the mountain, before you get to Butterstone, you see this mountain. And I always, whenever I saw this mountain, I thought it was great. I was very nearly home after a long drive from the middle of Europe somewhere. And I think that's when I must have written it. And it's not a song I sang, so it could end up being a train wreck. But we'll try it and we'll see how we go on. And oh, I'm walking out easy, I'm walking out slow, I'm taking this old road to a place that I know, and I don't feel the wind and I don't see the snow over my mountain. And it's cold, getting colder, but I'm feeling so warm, flying so high, I just can't feel the storm. And it's a long time ago I was here on my own, over my mountain. Oh, and isn't it strange how things happen to be? 20 years on, it's no stranger to me. And all the old stories are easy to see when I'm out over my mountain. And so in sad isolation, I'm feeling so good. drifted too far, and she know that I would. But it seems that I'm laughing, and I knew that I could. Over my mountain, so I'm walking out easy, I'm walking out slow, I'm taking this old road to a place that I know, and I don't feel the wind, can't see the snow over my mountain. Thank you very much, and that's my wee song, Over My Mountain. And that's one of the great things about these wee live shows I've been doing from the school here. I probably would never do that at a concert, you know. I mean, it's just one of them things, but it's quite nice to kind of revisit the 20-year-old me, and that song was written long before I ever even lived in Butterstone. I was coming home to my mum and dad's, which are just a couple of miles away, though, on the other side of the loch. Anyway, that's the song. Oh, and I'm gonna read out a couple of the requests. I've got a big, huge list of the requests for that song, but I'm gonna read a few of them out because I can't read them all out. But I'll just pick a couple out of the hat, and I'll read. Laura McGuinn in Raleigh, North Carolina, requested that. Hi, Laura. Sue and Dave Ayal in Matat in Israel. Hi there, Sue and Dave. And they had requested that, and Denny Romaco, she requested that in the memory of her son, and she'll know what I mean, her son Thomas. Anyway, I'm going to do an old song. This song I believe was written in about 1880 maybe, 1890, and it's a ballad, and it's an absolutely lovely song. It's a jilted man song. And there's not a lot of jilted men songs, but this is a jilted man song. And believe it or not, I learned this from my father, and who I was talking to my mother this afternoon. She's 87, and I was talking to her, and she said that, yes, my grandfather used to sing it. And so my father had obviously learned it from my grandfather. And he normally sung Gaelic songs, but he did sing the odd English song. And this is a kind of ballad from Aberdeenshire. And it's a fantastic, there's fantastic kind of stories that these ballads, kind of the way they were written. So we'll try it now, and I'll see. Try it and see how we go on. This is another one that I don't sing very much, but ye comrades and companions, and all ye females dear, to my sad lamentations pray lend an ear. It's once I looed a bonny lass, lewd her as my life, and it was my sole intention to make that girl my wife. I said, my dearest Betsy, when will ye name a day when you and I'll get married, love, and hands together join? You'll sit in our wee cottage, and you'll neither spin nor sew, while your own kind-hearted hireman lad gaes whistling at the plough. Oh, I courted way on bonny lass 12 months and a day, courted among the green grass, sometimes among the hay. I courted her the lee long night, part o' the next day, till she said, my dearest Sandy, it's time you were away. It's custom and there's caramels and leather mills likewise. There are woods and waters, many more, bring pleasure to my eyes. But the bonny woods o' Hatton, o' the eye grow green in May, and it's there the bonny lassie lived that stole my heart away. Oh, I'll speak about yon bonny lass, though she be far awa'. I'll speak about yon bonny lass, though she never saw. And I'll tell them that I looed her weel, although she proved untrue. Oh, and left me down by Hatton woods, my follies for to rue. But a blessings on your bonny lass, wherever she may be. I wish no evil unto her, although she slighted me. I only hope someday that she will say before she dies, oh, I wish I'd wed yon hireman lad that sang so sweet to me. Oh, ye comrades and companions, and all ye females dear, to my sad lamentations I pray ye lend an ear. It's once I looed a bonny lass, I looed her as my life, and it was my sole intention to make that girl my wife. Thank you very much, and that's the Bonnie Woods of Hatton, and I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you could understand the words of that. It's in kind of a wee bit kind of dialect, and but it's a wonderful old song, and I just love these kind of ballads, the way that they kind of tell the story, and it's a great jilted man's song. Anyway, now it's time for us to do a wee bit of a chorus singing, and I got a few requests for this, so I thought, I think I've done it quite recently, but I'm going to do it again. Because I'm just going to change guitars because we're in a different tuning. And because we're in the middle of the summer now, the summer's sort of really kicking in, and the growth outside, the growth around in the fields and everything, it's quite incredible. It's just the place is nature's going mad out there, and I love this time of year when all of a sudden the whole place kind of bursts into kind of life, and the growth is just incredible, and. But this song came from a friend of mine who had a farm actually down where my son Jamie lives, down in Nairntully, and he was telling me his grandfather had worked a farm and his great grandfather, and he was telling me how he wished that he was able to carry on the tradition of farming that had been in his family, the carry on the care that his grandfather had looked after the land with, and he was telling me that now if he didn't put all the chemicals and fertilizers on the fields, he wouldn't be able to get enough of a yield of a crop to be able to make it viable. And he was quite troubled, and I remember, and he used to go away climbing mountains to to get away from it all. In fact, I'll tell you this wee story. I've told this story before, but I'll do it again. And I used to, sometimes he would go away climbing mountains to clear his head, and sometimes he would take me. And there's only one problem, and that is that I've got severe vertigo. And but anyway, we used to go just for kind of a hill walk. But I got suspicious one day when he arrived and picked me up, and we drove all the way up to Glencoe. And I became, and we stopped at the bottom of the Buchlet of Moor, which is a great big mountain. And I became more suspicious when he started unloading all the shackles and ropes and things out of the boot of the car. And I was going, what's that for? He says, I thought we would do something a wee bit more adventurous today. He says, we'll try the Buchlet of Moor. And so the plan was that I would get tied on the end of a rope, and he'd climb up 100 feet, secure the rope to a stone or something, and then I would climb up after him, and he'd be doing that, sort of. So and I would be completely safe. So we did this, and he would go way up, and then you'd hear this, okay, and then I'd climb up and then sit on the ledge, and then he'd climb away up, and then it would be, okay, and I'd climb up, and eventually we got 3/4 of the way up the mountain, and it was just covered with mist, and the rain started, and and I was terrified. And I'm on this ledge. I'm sitting on this ledge, and he climbs away up and disappears up into the mist, and I had this, okay, And so I struggled up through the kind of, and this time the rocks were getting wet, and it was really, I was terrified. And eventually I managed to pull myself onto the ledge where he was. And there he was, the bull boy. He was sitting, lying back with his back against the rock, having a cigarette, and the rope wasn't even tied on to anything. It was just coiled up in front of him, beside him, And he says, I knew you'd be okay. He says, but you're fine, So, but it's amazing the things that you can do when you think you're going to be safe. Safe. Anyway, the chorus of this is for the global choir. And we'll get a wee bit of global choir happening here. And you sing, rescue me, on this mountain's the only place I can see clearly. And it's quite quite poignant in these times. So I'm just going to have a wee mouthful of Nigel's port. Let me tickle in my throat. Delicious. All right, Mr. Tatty Face, you ready to go? Mr. Tatty Face is going to do a solo in the middle of this, and he assures me he's really in the mood tonight to hit the notes, so we'll see what happens. Old layers of time buried the ways that the others have grown, and though sturdy and strong, his eyes open wide with each new unknown. And though it's for the air that he screams in the servant of the seasons and the morning's early light. The troubled one, he says, rescue me. He says, rescue me. On this mountain's the only place I can see clearly. Rescue me. He says, rescue me. On this mountain's the only place I can see clearly. He says, rescue me. That's what you sing when we try it again. See if we can get a bit of a vibe happening, a bit of a global vibe happening. Here we go. He says, rescue me. Says, rescue me. On this mountain's the only place I can see clearly. Rescue me. Says, rescue me. mountains, the only place I can see clearly. He says, rescue me. And see these guilty hands that envenom the soil, take the light from his fields. But now these book-reddened eyes have discovered the truth and what it conceals. And though it's for the earth that he screams in the night, he's a servant of the seasons and the morning's early light. And the troubled one, he says, rescue me. Sing. Says, rescue me on this mountain's the only place I can see clearly. Rescue me. He says, rescue me on this mountain's the only place I can see clearly. He says, rescue me. So the plough it will turn, and our hearts they will burn, for sair work's easy. But oh, this circle stone and this buzzer die, and this great unknown, oh, it goes on and on into the distance of time. And though it's for the earth that we scream in the night, we are servants of the seasons and the morning's early light. And the troubled ones, they say, rescue me. They say, rescue me on this mountain's the only place I can see clearly. Rescue me. They say, rescue me on this mountain's the only place I can see clearly. They say, rescue me. Here's where you sing it on your own. Everybody ready? Let's get a bit of global, a wee slug of whatever glass of refreshment you have sitting beside you. Here we go. Here we go. Ready? They say, rescue me. He says, rescue me. Gorgeous, that's absolutely gorgeous. It's so gorgeous, you should do it again with a wee harmony or two. Okay? Now, the Tatty Faces are going to do one of their 5-part harmonies. He says, rest. Thank you very much. And that was wonderful. We're getting the vibe here in the old schoolhouse. There's just me and Jenny in here tonight, and we're getting the vibe of the global choir. And I think it's just a brilliant thing. I can't help get it out of my head when I'm singing that somebody in Washington State will be singing along at the same time as somebody in Berlin, or somebody in Perth in Australia, or somebody in Ochtermuchty just along the road here. You know, I think it's just mind-boggling. Anyway, we'll do one more wee song, and this wee song's got a chorus as well, a wee bit more complicated, but you can try this one as well. This became a bit of a kind of theme song for these wee concerts, because they all started off when things were really sort of tough, and I was kind of trying to encourage everybody to look after each other and be cheery. And so I wrote this wee song. Well, I finished this wee song, and there's the line in it goes, the chorus goes, I'm going to hold you up, on that you can depend. I'm the crazy fool that will be here until the end. I'm going to hold you up, keep you turned into the light, chase away your dangers, push your troubles out of sight. I'm going to hold you up. And the line came from turned into the light when my father, who was a gardener all his life, when he got very sick in the end and was in a kind of hospice, and he was telling my children he'd given them plants, and Jamie was visiting them, and it was quite difficult to make conversation with them, and Jamie had the plant wasn't thriving, and my father had said, well, if it's not thriving, just keep it turned into the light, because nothing thrives in the darkness. And I thought that was a wonderful thing for my father to leave us with, a lovely thought. So we're going to do it now, and the only problem with this song is it's got a lot of words, and I wish it hadn't written so many words, but it. Okay, so I had a little senior moment there. I was just going to try and get my bearings. Good. Listen to me and I'll tell you what the old man said. It isn't difficult, believe me, it's all inside your head. We're standing here naked as the day that we were born. One step forward, another step, and then we must return. Oh, I'm going to hold you up, on that you can depend. I'm the crazy fool that will be here until the end. I'll hold you up, keep you turned into the light, chase away your dangers, push your troubles out of sight. I'll hold you up, I'm going to hold you up. The chorus, whatever we go at, you can just make the words up if you can't. You'll get some of them, yeah. I'm going to hold you up, on that you can depend. I'm the crazy fool that will be here until the end. I'll hold you up, keep you turned into the light, chase away your dangers, push your troubles out of sight. I'll hold you up, I'm going to hold you up. Say we're on our own, but really that is not exactly true. We're all connected to each other, no matter what we do. And every action has a consequence that we may never see. The circle turning, ever turning, turning endlessly. But I'm going to hold you up, on that you can depend. I'm the crazy fool that will be here until the end. I'll hold you up, keep you turned into the light, chase away your dangers, push your troubles out of sight. I'll hold take a toast together wildly as we lose another day. All souls united, we wouldn't have it any other way. And like the dancer who with magic glides across the floor, we're all just Mother Nature's children knocking at the door. Oh, I'm going to hold you up, on that you can depend. I'm the crazy fool that will be here until the end. I'll hold you up, keep you turned into the light, chase away your dangers, push your troubles out of sight. I'll hold you up, I'm going to hold you up. Why don't you try singing it on your own? Go on, try it. I'm going to Beautiful, beautiful. I won't put you through it again though, because it is a bit difficult. Listen to me and I'll tell you what the old man said. It isn't difficult, believe me, it's all inside your head. We're standing here naked as the day that we were born. One step forward, another step, and then we must return. But I'm going to hold you up, on that you can depend. I'm the crazy fool that will be here until the end. I'll hold you up, keep you turned into the light, chase away your dangers, push your troubles out of sight. I'll hold you up, I'm going to hold you up. Well done. Very brave of you all to try and sing that chorus. But anyway, that's my wee positive song about kind of looking after each other and supporting each other. And I think that's it's one of the most important things that we all should keep at the forefront of our beings. And so that brings us to the end of another wee half an hour. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it. You enjoyed it, Mr. Tattyface? Mr. Tattyface said he's really enjoyed it. And Duncan's exhausted because he's actually a tatty bogle, which is a tatty bogle is a scarecrow, you know, goes out and frightens birds. And of course, all my vegetables in the garden are just coming out now. They're you know, and there's birds everywhere. And poor Duncan Tattyface has been running around like a headless chicken all day, chasing off crows and pigeons and things off my garden. But yeah, he's chilled out now with his bass. Anyway, so I'll leave you with this. Oh, I've got a couple of things to say. The song "Rescue Me" I forgot to read this out. That was requested for Eric Langton in Melbourne in Australia. Hope you're watching, Eric. And for Susie Reiner in Austria. Austria is a fantastic place. I used to spend a lot of time there when I was young. So I'm going to, just one last wee thing. The next week, the next concert will be the one from Carney. Now, we're trying a wee experiment with a wee venue, which is just a couple of miles away from here, which is a wonderful old farmsteading, which has been converted into a kind of a wee venue. And it's up on the hills, and it's just an amazing place. And we've got a little audiences. We're experimenting with doing the live streams with a little kind of select audience. And you can get tickets for to join in the live on the live stream, you know, to be kind of part of the live stream, and then you can get tickets on my website at dougiemaclean.com, I believe. But there's also tickets for it. We're going to try and stream both of them, and you can buy a ticket for and we're experimenting with the times, and it's on a Wednesday night, which is it's a strange night, but that was. This the way it all worked out. But there's a 6 o'clock show. We thought we would try and experiment with an earlier show so that people could be a bit more flexible with watching, and a 9 o'clock show. So you can buy a ticket for the live stream for the 6 o'clock show, or you can buy a ticket for the 9 o'clock show, which is a bit later, and depending on what your time, what the your time zone, depending on time zones and things and that, wherever you are. So go and have a look at. You can get the tickets for the live stream from DougieMacLeanLive.com. And so thank you very much for joining us. And it'll be a bit of fun on Wednesday. We're all looking forward to it. And it's just nice to kind of experiment with different ways of doing what we're doing here, what we've started doing here in Butterstone, and just see if we can kind of involve live audiences at the same time as doing a live stream. And it's not easy, and we're a very, very tiny little team here. In fact, the team is just me and Jenny, and sometimes a 7-year-old Callum and Jamie, my son Jamie, and my daughter Julia, who's watching tonight probably. Julia and Taj always going to watch from wherever they are. They were in Austria last week with Colleen and Andy. Hi, Colleen and Andy, and of course, my mother is watching from Dunkeld. She's 87, and we just had our birthday a couple of weeks ago. So, hi, Mom. How's it going? And anyway, so we're experimenting with it. So we hope you'll join us. So thank you very much. Thanks for the great singing. Look after yourselves. Stay cheery. You know, it's weird times that we're all living through, and so it's more important than everything to be kind of to be connected. And so look after yourselves. Stay cheery. Smile like a tatty face, and I'll see you on Wednesday night from Carney Sterings. Night night. Eichba.